150,000, 150,000, 150,000, and then 400,000. Obviously, when they devise their agreement, they won't be agreeing na equal yung share nila sa portion ng ownership, right? Because this one right here, nagbayad siya ng mas malaki kaysa sa rest. So nagbayad siya ng 400,000. Whatever is the percentage of that in the total amount, that's 40% of the total amount since 1 million yun. 40% dapat yung share niya. And then the 60% will be divided into 4. So that is how unequal shares is actually agreed upon. So depending kung ano yung nagiging agreement ng mga parties involved sa purchase ng isang owners ng isang property, tapos magiging co-owner silang lahat sa property na yan, it's always up to the parties involved kung paano nila paghahati-hatian yung shares nila. Okay, so next feature is the consent requirement. When I was discussing earlier about the sole ownership, I specifically emphasized that for sole ownership, since single yung owner dito, only one person, of course, kaninong consent yung kakailanganin niya? Of course, sa kanya lang, right? But here, it is co-ownership. There are more than one individuals involved in the ownership. So therefore, when that person wants to sell the property that they co-own, he would require the consent of the other co-owners. Okay? He would require the consent of the other co-owners. Paano niya yan ma-acquire yung mga consent na yan? By having the signatures of the other co-owners. So, gawa tayo ng isang hypothetical situation. Let's say yung hypothetical situation natin is, balik tayo sa magkakapatid kanina na co-owners ng isang property. So let's say si sibling number one, gusto niya ibenta yung share niya sa property kasi hindi niya naman napapakinabangan. So gusto niya ibenta yung 1/5 share niya dun sa property. Can he or she do that? Can he or she sell the entire property that they co-own? Kasi sinong bibili, di ba? Sinong bibili ng generally? Sino ang bibili ng 1/5 lang na portion ng isang bahay? Halimbawa, kung bahay yung property na pinag-uusapan natin. Most likely, walang papayag dyan. So, in that case, para mabenta niya yung buong property, kakailanganin niyang makuha yung consent ng mga other co-owners niya dito. So, paano niyo yun makukuha again? By getting their signature. The signature will serve as the proof of their consent. Of course, provided na hindi forged yung mga signature nila and they have actually given their consent by signing the document of sale. Right? So, that is how you would actually get the consent. So, ang question naman dito, babalik tayo sa kung ano yung magiging another important thing kasi is, can a co-owner immediately sell his portion of the property to a third person na hindi kasama dito sa co-ownership? Okay, so to answer that question, pwede. But, kailangan nilang ma-meet ang isang very important condition. Kailangan muna ni co-owner 1 i-offer yung property, kailangan niyang i-offer yung property sa mga co-owners niya. Because yung mga co-owners niya, meron silang tinatawag na right of first refusal. Okay, yung right of first refusal is afforded to the co-owners because they have a vested interest on the property already existing. So only when the other co-owners refuse to purchase his share of the property, can this person who is planning to sell his portion sell it to a third person na hindi kasama dun sa original co-owners. Okay? So, but then again, even so, kakailanganin niya pa din yung consent ng other co-owners. Next, I hope you are getting all of this. You can send a message if you think na I am speaking too fast so that I can speak a little bit slower. Okay, I will try to check the comment section. Okay. Moving forward, another key feature of co-ownership is the use and enjoyment. So for the use and enjoyment, everyone, each co-owner has the right to fully use and enjoy the property that they co-own, granted that they are using it for and only for legal purposes. Okay? And in consideration, of course, of the rights of other co-owners. Meaning to say, while you have the full right to actually enjoy the property, you cannot use it and destroy it at the same time. You should be respectful of the rights of your other co-owners while you are using and enjoying that property. Moving forward, the liabilities and expenses, of course, since you are co-owners, the liabilities and expenses are divided among yourselves. As opposed to that of a sole ownership, a sole owner does not have anybody to divide the liability with, but co-owners would always divide the liabilities and expenses among themselves. But is this always the case? The answer is no, it's not always the case. In some instances, like for example, balik tayo dun sa magkakapatid. So sa limang magkakapatid na yon, halimbawa yung minana nila is house and lot. And one of the siblings is using the property as his residence. Of course, in this case, expenses, reasonable expenses arising from that property and from his use, hindi na paghahati-hatian yan ng mga other co-owners. But in terms of liability, like for example, taxes, they could agree. They could agree na they can either divide it among themselves or since hindi naman sila nagkakaroon ng useful enjoyment sa property na yun, yung other owner lang na gumagamit ng property ang magiging owner, ang mag-shoulder ng liabilities and expenses. Again, it will always boil down to the agreement between parties kung paano nila paghahati-hatian yung liabilities and expenses. And finally, there will always be a possibility of partition. Remember na although in co-ownership there is that equal or unequal shares, it does not necessarily have partitions yet. Partition would require tertiary action in order to make the division official. So for this, co-ownership, depending on the circumstances surrounding the co-owners, they could always go for partition. And eventually, the other co-owners would always buy the shares of another co-owner until such time na siya na lang yung maging sole owner ng property na co-owned nilang lahat. Okay? And then, that's it about co-ownership. Moving forward to the conjugal or community, dito naman, as I mentioned earlier, this one arises as an effect of marriage or entering into a marital relationship. So, conjugal ownership arises when the spouses would decide that their property regime would be conjugal partnership of gains. Okay, that's one thing to remember, okay? Conjugal partnership of gains. Pag conjugal partnership of gains, tawag sa mga properties na kasama sa pag-aari ng mag-asawa is a conjugal property. Okay? Pag community, pag absolute community of properties naman or community property, this arises when the spouses decides that the regime would be absolute community of property. Pero for this too, we got here a reckoning period, which I will be discussing later on. Kung ano yung period na yan and why is it important. Okay, so let's discuss the key features of conjugal and community properties, which are, of course, in conjugal or community property ownership, there's always a joint ownership. Bakit may joint ownership siya? Because again, hindi ka naman nagpapakasal sa sarili mo, right? You marry another person, so that makes the two of you. The two of you becomes the joint owner. Okay, bakit kayo joint owner and hindi co-owner? Well, it's just a technicality, pero joint owner kayo since you are married. Okay, so joint ownership suggests that there is no exclusivity. Okay, there is no exclusivity on the ownership of the property because there are two of you who are owners of that property. And then conjugal or community property depends on the default regimes. Ano yung mga default regimes na to? Default regimes refers to an arrangement between spouses. Okay, arrangement siya between spouses na magde-decide sila kung paano nila magiging own. Sorry, let me rephrase that. How are they going to own the properties that they will acquire during the marriage and before the marriage? Okay, before the marriage and during the marriage, paano nila i-handle yung mga properties na yon? So they agree on that. Okay, so it could be again conjugal partnership of gains or absolute community of property. Those are the regimes. And then depending on when you got married, I will be discussing this later on. Depending on when you got married, your property could either be conjugal or part of the absolute community of properties. Okay, and then next one, there are no presumption of sole ownership. Okay, wala siyang presumption of sole ownership because, again, there are two of you who owns that property. And then management and administration for this, since you are joint owners of the properties that falls under your conjugal or community property, that means to say that the management and administration of that is also joint. And then dissolution of property regime, paano ba na di-dissolve yung property regime? This could happen when when one of the spouses dies. Okay, that's one. Or when there's an annulment, na di-dissolve yung marriage. So the property regime goes back to pre-marriage. And then when you decide na babaguhin ninyo yung type of property regime that you have already agreed, pwede din yun. But this one is very specific. Kailangan may order from the court allowing the change in property regime. So in changing property regime, why is it na necessary yung court order? Because property ownership has parties who owns the property, may mga vested interests sila sa mga properties na yan. So they cannot just decide by themselves to change the property regime that they have already decided upon when they got married, or that was the default when they got married. Okay? Kasi minsan, hindi tayo nagkakaroon ng prenuptial agreement. Very important kasi yung prenuptial agreement. Without prenuptial agreement, nagkakaroon tayo ng default regime. Later on, I will be discussing this. Without prenuptial agreement, nag-a-apply yung default regime on the properties. So it means to say na wala kayong magagawa. Without the prenup, automatically, the law will apply. Okay? So I would like to focus on the conjugal or community property in my next discussion. Pag-usapan natin yan since nag-go deep na din tayo sa conjugal and absolute community. So let's discuss more on the features of these two types of partnership. Again, this is the main reason why yung seminar na to is very very timely and relevant, especially for those who are married and those who are planning to get married. So ano ba at kailan ba nagkakaroon ng conjugal partnership at kailan nagkakaroon ng absolute community? Let's start with the first one, default for marriage. Ito yung sinasabi ko sa inyo kanina na without the existence of a prenuptial agreement. Pag walang prenuptial agreement, the law will automatically apply. And I also mentioned earlier na meron tayong tinatawag na reckoning period. Kailan ang reckoning period na yan? It's August 3, 1988. Anong meron sa August 3, 1988 na to? Why is it considered to be the reckoning period para makapag-decide kung ano yung default na regime of property ownership? Noong August 3, 1988 kasi, napasa yung tinatawag nating Family Code. Okay? Napasa yung Family Code. Therefore, all marriage that happens before the existence of the Family Code and those that were celebrated after the passage of the Family Code, magkakaroon sila ng automatic default na magkaiba. Okay. So, default for marriage, ang conjugal partnership of gains, magiging default siya for marriage if your marriage happened noong bago mag-August 3, 1988. So, kung kinasal ka noong August 2, 1988, tapos wala kang prenuptial agreement, ano yung magiging default ng property regime mo? Magiging default mo ang conjugal partnership of gains. Okay? Conjugal partnership of gains. So, lahat ng property nyo after your marriage will form part of your conjugal properties. Okay? Again, pag kinasal ka noong August 2, 1988 or anytime before August 3, 1988, tapos wala kayong in-execute na na prenuptial agreement. So ang mangyayari sa inyo, automatically by default, conjugal partnership of gains yung magiging regime of property ninyo. But what if kinasal ka nung August 4? Okay? August 4 ka ikinasal, wala ka ding in-execute na prenuptial agreement. Ano naman ang default mo na regime of property ownership? Magiging absolute community of partnership. Yung magiging default nyo na regime of property. So, pag-uusapan natin eventually kung ano ba yung difference ng dalawang to. So, pag-usapan natin yung ownership of premarital properties or anong mangyayari sa mga properties na binili nyo after marriage, before marriage pala. Ano yung mangyayari sa mga properties na yon? Sino yung magiging may-ari? Magpo-form part ba siya sa common property ninyo na mag-asawa or hindi? Okay, pag-usapan natin yan. So, kung yung naging default ninyo na regime of property is conjugal partnership of gains, lahat ng property na pag-aari nyo na bago kayo ikinasal is pag-aari nyo lang. So, separate siya sa common properties ninyong mag-asawa. That is, hindi siya magpo-form part ng conjugal property ninyo. Okay? Hindi siya magpo-form part ng conjugal property ninyo kasi you exclusively own them if you got married before August 3, 1988. Pero kung kinasal ka after August 3, 1988, lahat ng properties nyo, bago kayo ikinasal, masasama siya sa community, sa common properties ninyong mag-asawa. Okay? So, common properties ninyong mag-asawa, lahat ng properties niyo before kayo ikinasal, part na siya ng absolute community of your properties. Okay, so yung main difference ng conjugal partnership of gains, lahat ng properties before marriage, inyo lang yun, individually. But after marriage, lahat ng property nyo nasa conjugal partnership nyo na. Pero kung absolute community naman, lahat ng properties niyo bago kayo ikasal, and lahat ng properties na bibili nyo during the marriage, magpo-form part siya sa absolute community of your properties. Okay, what about properties acquired during the marriage? Ito na yon. Yung sinasabi ko kanina, they will be shared on both accounts. Again, conjugal, magiging part siya ng conjugal property at magiging part siya ng absolute community of your properties. Again, properties acquired during marriage, shared siya on both accounts. What about those na minana or dinonate? Okay, so for this, medyo unique yung circumstance natin dito. Halimbawa, yung inheritance, pinamanahan ka ng nanay mo, halimbawa ako, may asawa ako. Pinamanahan ako halimbawa ng nanay ko, ng magulang ko ng isang property. Pero dun sa will niya, sinasabi niya doon na pinapamana niya lang sa akin yung property. Tapos, ikinasal ako sa asawa ko, sabihin natin noong August 2, kailan yun? 1988. Kinasal ako noong August 2, 1988. So tapos wala kaming prenuptial agreement. So automatically, yung regime of property ko is conjugal partnership of gains, right? Now, dun sa naman akong property, kanino, will it form part of our conjugal properties? Hindi. Kasi dun sa will, sinasabi na pinapamana lang sa akin ng nanay ko yun. So ibig sabihin, exclusively owned ko yung property na yan. Okay? I exclusively own that property. But what if, baguhin natin yung circumstance. Sinabi ng nanay ko dun sa will niya na pinapamana niya yung property na to sa akin at sa asawa ko. Okay? Sa akin at sa asawa ko. So in this case, magpo-form part siya ng conjugal partnership. Conjugal properties namin. Okay. Same is true with the donation. Pag exclusively binibigay sa isang partner or sa isang spouse yung property na yan, sa kanya lang yan. Unless binibigay sa dalawang spouses. Okay? Doon lang magiging part ng conjugal property or ng absolute community of properties ng mag-asawa ang inheritance and yung donation. Oh, I hope that is clear. Pag-usapan naman natin kung pwede bang mabago yung default. Okay? Pwede bang mabago yung default regime by executing a prenuptial agreement? But what is prenuptial agreement? Prenuptial agreement, basically, it is an agreement between parties, yung spouses, na ine-execute nila, particularly dealing on how they are going to handle the properties that they already own prior to their marriage. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, ang prenup, by the name itself, prenup, ine-execute niyo yan bago kayo ikasal. Okay. Can the execution of a prenuptial agreement change the default application of the property regime? Yung CPG and then Absolute Community of Property, ACP. Kaya ba? Yes. Okay? Pwedeng mabago ng prenup yung default regime of properties. Okay? So, important note here, yung property regime, inaapektuhan niya yung titling, yung inheritance, yung taxation, and liability. So, even when only one of the spouses is named in the title, yung property na yan, pwede siyang mag-form part ng conjugal or community property if acquired during marriage. Okay, so exception dito, kung clearly exclusive yung property. Okay, paano nagiging clearly exclusive? Remember earlier the donation and the inheritance? Nagiging exclusive yun if the donation or the will that caused the inheritance explicitly provide na yung property na yun is pinapamana lang sa isa sa inyong mag-asawa. So exclusive sa kanya yung property na yan. So going back to the question kung kayang baguhin ng prenup yung default, and sinabi natin yes. So, alimbawa, ikinasal ka, ikinasal ka noong June 8, 1994. Kinasal ka ng June 8, 1994. That is after the passage of the family code, right? So ibig sabihin, ano na yung default na ano natin dito na property regime. The default property regime here is the absolute community of partnership. Absolute community of partnership. Ano yung special about the absolute community of partnership? Yung properties nyo na na-acquire nyo before and during marriage, nagpo-form part siya ng community of properties ninyong mag-asawa. So, you commonly owned that property. Pero, kinasal ka noong June 8, 1994, gusto mong baguhin yan kasi gusto mo yung properties mo prior to your marriage is properties mo lang. Ayaw mong ilagay siya sa marriage nyo. Pwede yan. Pwede kang mag-execute ng prenuptial agreement. Sinasabi mo na basically, you want conjugal partnership of gains to be your regime of properties. Okay? So, pwede yan. Pwede yan even if you want, kasi yung prenuptial agreement, it's basically a contract where the future spouses would agree kung ano yung mangyayari sa mga properties nila. It could also even be na yung walang mapupunta sa common. Hindi pwede yun kasi may mga common expenses kayo. Pero pwede kayong mag-agree na mag-asawa na yung property na to, yung mga properties na bibilhin nyo in the future na hindi necessarily nag-affect sa household ninyo, sa inyo lang. So separate lang kay husband, separate lang kay wife. Except for this specific properties like your family home. Your family home, dapat kasama talaga siya sa community of property niyo or sa common property niyo. So yung mga ganun, pwede yan ma-stipulate dun sa prenuptial agreement ninyo. Okay? So there you go. Now, before we proceed with the next part of our discussion, I would like to know kung meron ba tayong mga katanungan dito. I am seeing na medyo madami yung nagko-comment dito. By the way, am I speaking just enough? Am I speaking, okay lang ba yung
okay lang, Attorney.
speed? Okay.
Okay lang, Attorney.
Yung audio ko, no? Okay.
Okay.
All right. So, if you have any question, I'm looking at the chat box right now. You can actually send them. And I will answer them if necessary. Okay, so the next part of our discussion is on the marital property rights of spouses here in the Philippines. So, pag ikinasal ka na sa asawa mo, ano yung mga marital property rights mo as a spouse? So again, babalik tayo dun sa type of property regime na pinag-usapan natin kanina. It matters, it is very important for us to actually know the different types of property regime na meron tayo as an option. And of course, the option of executing a prenuptial agreement. Kasi hindi naman tayo dito sa Pilipinas martial law na kung ano yung batas yun lang yung dapat mag-apply. No. In terms of properties that are involved in a marital relationship, meron tayong option kung paano natin i-handle yan. Granted na i-exercise yung option na yan prior to your marriage celebration. So bago kayo kasal basically. Okay? All right. So what are the marital property rights of spouses here in the Philippines? For those who are married and those who are planning to get married here, I want you to listen carefully to the following because these are going to affect you and these are your rights. Okay, so first, one of the most important marital property right of spouses is your right to a joint ownership of the properties. Okay. However, for this, I actually want to emphasize that once again, this would go back to the kind of property regime that applies to your marriage. Kung ikinasal ka, ulitin ko, kung ikinasal ka prior to August 3, 1988, and hindi ka nag-exercise ng prenuptial agreement, automatically, conjugal properties of gains. Ibig sabihin, lahat ng properties na na-acquire nyo before marriage is yours alone, and all properties that you acquired after your marriage form parts of your conjugal properties. But if ikinasal ka after August 3, 1988, and hindi ka din nag-exercise ng prenuptial agreement, all properties that you bought prior to your marriage, bago ka ikasal, and yung mga binili mo nyo during marriage will form part of your community of properties, your common properties in marriage. Okay? So, your right to joint ownership will depend kung ano yung nag-a-apply na property regime. If it is conjugal partnership of gains, it means to say basically na only those that you bought after marriage yung jointly owned ninyong dalawa. Pero kung absolute community of properties, yung property regime ninyo, it means to say na lahat ng properties na nabili nyo prior to and during marriage, you jointly owned the properties. Okay? There. Pero paano kung nag-apply ka, may naisip lang ako. What if nag-prenuptial agreement? Nag-prenuptial agreement kayo, sinasabi niyo na lahat ng properties niyo, let's say, kinasal ka after 1988, August 3, 1988. So, yung default dyan, di ba, is absolute community of property. Nag-exercise ka ng prenuptial agreement. Lahat ng properties na binili niyo before marriage, exclusive property niyo, according to your prenuptial agreement. Then, yun yung masusunod. Although default yung absolute community of properties, pag mag-exercise ka kasi ng prenuptial agreement, hindi siya mag-a-apply. Kasi nag-exercise ka ng prenuptial agreement for that very reason. Okay, so Ma'am Mylene Brito asks, how about the fruits of the exclusive properties fall under conjugal community? Okay. The fruits of the exclusive properties under conjugal community of property, hindi siya ma-apply. Okay, hindi siya mag-a-apply sa marriage. It is an exclusive property of the owner spouse. Kasi conjugal ibig sabihin lahat ng properties na binili niya before marriage, exclusive yun sa kanya. And one of the features, as I discussed earlier, of sole ownership is you have the full enjoyment of the properties that you solely owned. Okay, now decision mo yan kung i-contribute mo yan sa household expenses ninyo. Okay? There. Okay, next. The right to co-administration. Okay, so the right to co-administration, since you are a joint owner of the property, of course, naturally, one of the effects of joint ownership is joint administration. Ibig sabihin, kung yung property nyo is a house and lot, that is your entire estate, house and lot, sino yung may responsibility for its administration? Naturally, kayong dalawa yan. Okay? Naturally, kayong dalawa yan. So, one of the powers of an administrator is actually to mortgage a property. Diba? I-mortgage niya yung property niya since co-administration siya and co-owner siya. Ang question dito, since the person is, the spouse is co-administrator and joint owner, kakailanganin ba niya? Sorry, somebody was speaking? Okay. Kakailanganin ba niya yung consent ng other party to dispose of, or not to dispose of, but to mortgage the property? So yes, since you are co-administrator and you are joint owner, kakailanganin mo talaga yung signature, yung consent, which is manifested via the signature of the other co-administrator and joint owner. Okay? What about disposition? You only have one property, house and lot, and then you jointly own the property and you are co-administrators of that property. One of the spouses would like to sell that property. But the thing is, that property is actually a family home. May special consideration ba tayo dito? Can a co-administrator solely sell a family home?
Parang hindi.
Okay. May nagsasalita. I'm not sure kung may tinatanong siya. Pero anyway, to answer my question earlier, a family home can only be sold if there is no other way to save the family who is living in that, but to sell the property. Ibig sabihin, if you have other options to exercise, the selling of the family home should be your last recourse. It means to say, simply put, that a co-owner or a co-administrator or a joint owner cannot sell the property even if there is a consent from the other spouse or the other co-administrator and other joint owner if meron pa silang other options na pwede nilang ma-exercise to save the family. Kasi binibenta mo halimbawa yung family home ninyo for purposes of sustaining your life. Wala na kayong makain, so kailangan nyo nang ibenta. Okay, if you don't have any other option talaga, pwede yun. But still, kakailanganin mo yung consent ng other spouse and kailangan ma-satisfy yung condition na yan. Okay? Hindi pwede ibenta ang family home unless last option mo na siya, last recourse. Okay? Now, paano naman yung taxation when you are selling a family home? Okay, you're actually tax exempt when you are selling a family home. Okay, no, not necessarily absolutely, but a portion of your taxation is not applied. But that is for another discussion. Okay, moving forward, you as joint owners and co-administrators have the right to the fruits and the income of the properties that are part of your conjugal partnership of gains or your absolute community. Okay, yung fruits again and income arising from the properties, na-discuss ko na to kanina. So you have the rights to those. And then of course, pag mag-dissolve yung marriage ninyo. Okay? Pag mag-dissolve yung marriage ninyo through death, through annulment. Okay? Or pag magkaroon na tayo dito ng divorce, through divorce. Ang mangyayari dito, lahat ng property that falls under your conjugal partner properties and dun sa absolute community ng properties ninyo are going to be divided equally among you, spouses. So, when the husband dies, you will notice na 50% of the properties automatically goes to the wife, and then the other 50% is pinagahati-hatian ng mga other heirs, diba? So, it doesn't automatically goes 100% to the wife. So, may ganun tayong specifications. And next is right to exclusive property. So again, depending on Okay, depending on the type of property regime that you had, kung conjugal partnership of gains yan, all properties you bought before marriage is exclusively owned by that person who bought it before marriage. And all properties that you have acquired by virtue of donation or inheritance, depending kung paano pinamana, if it was exclusively given to only one of the spouses, then exclusive property yan ng spouse na pinamanahan. Hindi siya magpo-form part ng common properties ninyong mag-asawa. Okay? There. Okay, what are the additional rights? You also have the right to challenge any unlawful transfer. Okay, ano yung unlawful transfer na to? Unlawful transfer would include pag nagbenta ng property without the consent of the other. Halimbawa dito, may signature siya dun sa deed of sale, pero yung signature niya is actually forged. So that would mean na unlawful yung transfer, voidable yung contract, void yung contract, void yung sale, hindi matatransfer yung property. Pwedeng, kung na-transfer na yung property, pwedeng ipaanal yung deed of absolute sale. Now, you also have the right of support and maintenance. Okay, pag property owner ka, and yung property na yan is part ng common property ninyong mag-asawa, you have the responsibilities. Kayong mag-asawa, may responsibility kayo to contribute for the maintenance of the property na part ng common properties ninyo. And that is your right as a spouse, as a married couple, or as a married individual. Hindi pwede na ikaw lang ang nagmi-maintain ng property. Your other spouse should also give support in the maintenance of that property. Kasi nakikinabang din siya sa property na yun, right? For example, kung family home niyo yan, nakikinabang siya dyan. Dyan siya nakatira, yung mga anak niyo dyan nakatira. So dapat equal yung sharing ninyo dyan ng support and maintenance. Next, the right to determine property regime. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, yung property regime, pwede niyong pagdesisyonan yan by executing a prenuptial agreement, which you should execute prior to the celebration of your marriage. Now, in the future, let's say, nagbago yung isip nyo. Ay, ayaw ko na pala mag conjugal partnership of gains. Gusto ko na palang mag absolute community of property. So, in that case, pwede ba kayong magbago ng property regime? As I mentioned earlier, yes, pwede kayong magbago ng property regime, granted na may valid reason kayo for that, enough to convince a judge na reasonable yung request or yung petition ninyo to change your property regime. So your right to determine your property regime should be exercised only in two different circumstances. Number one, prior to the marriage by executing a prenuptial agreement. Second, when you already have the prenuptial agreement and then you change your mind by filing a petition before the regional trial court for the change of property regime. Okay? And again, there is a need for convincing sa mga judge na reasonable yung request, yung petition ninyo for change in property regime. And then of course, right to family home, na-discuss ko na to kanina. A family home specifically, hindi mo siya pwedeng ibenta unless it is your last recourse. And even when you sell it, since family home nga siya, meron din tayong different tax implication for this, which I will not be diving into right now, because it's going to be taxing. Okay. Okay, so we're done with the rights of the spouses. Okay, so ngayon may nakita na naman akong tanong. Okay, may nakita akong tanong from Ma'am Mylene ulit. May scenario siya, sabi niya, scenario, female registered owner, single. Sinangla yung title using her single IDs with maiden name without declaring the spouse and marriage kasi walay naman daw sila, not legally. Question, bakit po yung ibang lender nakakapag-annotate ng title sa RD? How safe is this? Okay. Bakit nakakapag-annotate yung ibang lender sa RD? Probably because the title remain in the title, the person who is the registered owner remains to be single. So RD kasi hindi naman nila i-check kung married talaga yung isang individual because there is a presumption of regularity na tinatawag. Okay? It is the obligation of the owners and their spouses to actually ensure na kung ano yung marital status ng isang property owner, na-update siya dun sa title itself. It is the responsibility of the owner to update the status. So kung nabili mo yan ng single ka, tapos naka-single doon, tapos nagpakasal ka, it should be changed. It should be updated by the owner. And kaninong lookout yan? Lookout yan ng other spouse. Why? Kasi yung other spouse, mayroon siyang vested interest dun sa property na yan. Especially kung hindi kayo hindi kayo nag-execute ng prenuptial agreement, yung vested interest nyo is, since I am assuming na kinasal kayo after 1988, automatically, absolute community of property yung property regime ninyo. So you are also co-owner of that property. So kung nakita mo yung title na, single pa pala to, dapat ipabago natin to. You should force your spouse to change that into married. Kasi otherwise, pwedeng mangyari to. So kung paano nakapag-annotate yung ibang lender sa RD, it's because hindi nabago yung title, yung status ng owner sa title, and there is a presumption of regularity kasi hindi trabaho ng RD na i-ensure na hindi nga nabago yung status ng owner na yan. So, question, how safe is this? It's not very safe because pwedeng i-question yan ng other spouse. Okay? Pwedeng i-question yan ng other spouse. Okay. So, yun muna yung sasagutin kong tanong ni Ma'am Mylene. Let's proceed to the next part of our discussion. By the way, okay pa ba ang lahat? Hindi ko kasi nakikita yung mga participants. Are we all okay? Kaya pa? Sige nga, mag-react nga tayo dito ng mga emoji. Like or heart or whatever emoji. Okay. Sige. Alright, mukhang okay naman ang lahat. Let's proceed to the next part of our discussion, which is on titles. Titles naman tayo. Magkakaroon tayo dito ng little overview para ma-refresh yung mga kaalaman natin tungkol sa mga land titles natin or property titles. Okay. The first question that I have here is, what are the parts of a title and why is it important for us to actually know them? I will be answering the second portion of this question. Why is it important for us to actually know the different parts of the title? Importante yan, especially kung magkakandak kayo ng due diligence on the property na gusto nyong bilhin. Okay, so this one is specifically for the buyers of the properties na participants natin today. Okay? Yung mga buyers of properties na participants natin today, kailangan yung malaman yung different parts of the title kasi definitely you have to conduct your own due diligence. Mag-research kayo tungkol sa regularity or validity ng mga titles na pinipresent sa inyo as proof of ownership ng pinagbibilhan ninyo. So I have here a copy of a title. This is an actual title kaya may mga may mga bliner, may mga rinidact akong information. So let's discuss the anatomy of this title. So, unahin natin yung part na to. This one is what we call the title number. The title number is very important because each title has different title number, and your title number serves like it is basically the identification of the title. It makes every title unique. So kung may makita kang title na parehas yung title number, pero magkaiba yung dinidescribe nilang property, then that is going to be a big red flag and big question marks yan, because each title should have different title number. Next, this portion naman right here is what we call the technical description. The technical description gives us the location of the property, the boundaries. Binibigyan din tayo sa technical description ng size ng property. So, it is very important for you to actually read the technical description because kumbaga ito yung content. Kumbaga kung tao yung title, this one is your heart. Okay? Yan yung nagdi-describe sa kung ano yung property na dinidescribe, na kino-cover ng title number na binibigay sa taas. Okay? So it's very important na yung title number, yung title description, technical description, yung technical description is clear and understandable to you. Kasi madaming mga tao, halimbawa, bumili sila ng magkatabing lote. Hindi nila binasa yung technical description, nagpatayo sila ng bahay. Apparently, when they reviewed their technical description, yung pinatayuan pala nilang bahay is hindi yung property nila, kundi yung property ng kapitbahay nila. Diba? So you should understand the technical description. Usually ginagawa ito ng mga surveyors. Okay, next part. We got here the part where the owner of the property is identified, the registered owner, and the address of that owner is also identified. So owner's name and address. So dito natin nakikita yung information about the owner. Dito natin makikita yung Juan Carlos Yulo, married to Josefina Fernandez, of legal age, blah, 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 and then the address. Or Juan Carlos Yulo, single, of legal age, Filipino, blah, 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 blah. Dito natin nakikita yung mga information na yan. So ito, ang tinatawag nating exciting part. Why is it exciting part? Kasi dito natin malalaman kung yung owner ng property na to is single or ikinasal na nung na-purchase nila yung property na to. And kung this property should fall within the conjugal property or the absolute community. Okay? So for this, magkakaroon tayo ng mga hypothetical situations. Pag-usapan natin yung mga hypothetical situations dito. Halimbawa, si X is a person, okay? X bought the property that is covered by this title before meeting and marrying his wife, Y. So yung question natin dito, what should be written on the owner portion of the title? Okay, can you type dito sa message box natin kung ano yung i-expect natin na lalabas dyan sa owner portion ng title na yan? Again, yung situation natin is X bought the property covered by this title before meeting and marrying his wife na si Y. So ano yung expected natin na lalabas dito sa owner portion ng title na to? Meron ba tayong mga participants pa? Okay, so Ma'am Mylene says, X single. Okay, so that is actually correct. X single, Filipino of legal age, blah, blah, blah. What about X bought this property after meeting and marrying his wife Y in 1987? Again, what should be written on this portion of the property? X bought this property after meeting and marrying his wife Y in 1987. May specific year tayo dito. What should be written in this portion? Okay, may dalawa akong nakikitang answer dito. May sinasabing X married to Y. Meron din sinasabing spouses X and Y. So this is a very interesting question, right? Ano ba yung ilalagay natin? X married to Y or spouses X and Y? Okay, sabi ni Ma'am Emma Yamson, spouses XY or X married to Y. Okay, so the perfect answer here is yung sinagot ni Ma'am Emma. Why? Because it would depend kung sino yung bumili, okay? And kung saan niya kinuha yung fund to actually buy the property. Remember, this is a property bought in 1987 prior to the family code. Ibig sabihin, lahat ng property na binili ng isang mag-asawa, ng isang couple during the marriage could form part of their conjugal property, right? Pero we also have this one consideration. Kailangan i-prove ni X, since X yung buyer natin dito, kailangan i-prove ni X na yung pinambili niya dito is not coming from the money na supposedly ilalagay niya din sa conjugal properties nila, sa conjugal partnership nila. Okay? Dapat it should be something na independently acquired. Like, for example, binigay sa kanya ng nanay niya, sinabihan siya na bumili ka nito. Hindi niya yun income. Kasi yung income kasi, kailangan niyan ibigay sa common properties ninyo. Kasi money is also property. So, kailangan ilagay yan sa conjugal property ninyo. So, since hindi yun income, it was basically a gift from mother of X. Okay? Pwede niyang gamitin yung X married to Y. So ano yung implication nun? We will discuss that later. Okay? Pero what if yung property na yung property na pinag-uusapan natin is binili ni X using his income. Okay, binili ni X using his income, ibig sabihin niyan the owner portion of this title should have X should have spouses X and Y. Okay? Kasi yung source ng fund niya to buy the property is one that should belong to the conjugal properties nila, including the money portion. Kasi income, dapat talaga magiging portion yan ng conjugal properties ng mag-asawa. Okay? So there you go. I have a third circumstance here. Third circumstance, X bought this property after meeting and marrying his wife Y in the year 2005. What should be written in the owner portion of this title? Nagmamatter ba yung year na 2005 dito? Nagmamatter ba yung year? So again, X bought this property after meeting and marrying his wife Y in 2005. What should be written on the owner portion of this title? Okay, yes, magmamatter to after 1988 kasi siya. So, again, yung default, sabihin, hindi kasi sinabi dito kung nag-execute sila ng ng prenup. Pero let's assume hindi sila nag-execute ng prenup. Ano yung magiging ano yung ilalagay natin sa owner portion? So should it be spouses X and Y or X married to Y? Okay. So for this, automatically lahat ng since this is 2005 and the default is absolute community of property, lahat ng binili mong property before and after marriage should form part of the absolute community of property. So therefore, it should be spouses X and Y. Okay, so which leads us to the question, what is the difference between married to and spouses appearing on the portion of the title referring to the owner of the property and what are its legal implications? So is it sabi dito may nagtanong, is it the RD who determines what to write on the ownership po? No. Because you ano, di ba, nag-a-apply ka naman, you actually fill up forms. So it is your obligation to be honest with the information that you are giving to the public offices. Kasi hindi na obligasyon ng RD yan na i-determine pa. Kung ano lang yung sinulat mo, there is already a presumption of regularity on those. And then of course, kung sinabi mong married ka, manghihingi yan probably ng supporting documents such as your marriage certificate, those things. So anyway, going back to the question, pag-usapan natin ngayon ang difference between married to and spouses na nag-a-appear sa title. Anong difference nila? So let's start with married to. X married to Y. Ano yung implication niyan? X married to Y means na there is only one spouse that is the registered owner. So, X married to Y, si X lang yung registered owner ng property. Sinasabi lang na si X, married siya kay Y. And that's about it. It simply indicates that the owner is a married individual. So, in that scenario, X married to Y, is Y a co-owner? Based on the title alone, hindi natin i-consider yung absolute community or hindi natin i-consider yung conjugal partnership. Is Y, in this case, co-owner? Okay. So, X married to Y, if we are just going to base it on face value, ang registered owner lang dyan is only one spouse, which is si X. Sinasabi lang na married siya kay Y. It does not confer registered ownership to the other spouse. So the answer to my previous question is no. It's not a conclusive proof of conjugal property. And its legal implication is this. It doesn't automatically make the named spouse an owner. Okay? But the property may still be part of the community depending on when and how it was acquired. Okay. I-dissect natin yung legal implication na yan. X married to Y. Okay, X married to Y. Sabi dito sa legal implication, it doesn't automatically make the named spouse an owner. Sino yung sinasabi ditong named spouse? Yung named spouse dito is si Y. So X married to Y, pinangalanan si Y as the spouse. Hindi siya automatically registered owner. Pero, in terms of ownership, pwedeng maging co-owner si Y. Again, sabi dito, depending on when and how it was acquired. Pag-usapan natin yung how. Paano kung yung property is na-acquire noong July 5, 2005, July 5, 2005. Pero na-acquire ni X yung property na yan by virtue of inheritance. And sinabi dun sa will na pinapangalan lang sa kanya yung property na yon. Pero ina-acknowledge doon sa title ng transfer na yon, na yung property na yon, yung X na to, na pinamanahan is married kay Y. Okay. In that circumstance na diniscuss ko, sa circumstance na yan, si X, exclusive property niya yung property. Okay? Kasi going back to our discussion earlier, regardless of the regime of property, kung yung property is acquired through donation or inheritance, and in-specify doon kung kanino lang ipinapamana or i-donate yung property, that person identified is the exclusive owner of the property. Regardless kung paano regardless kung na-mention sa title yung pangalan ng other spouse, like X married to Y. In the circumstance earlier, si X yung exclusive owner, in-identify lang na married siya kay Y. Okay? I hope that is clear. Paano naman kung spouses yung nakalagay? So, pag spouses yung nakalagay, ibig sabihin, naka-identify yung dalawang pangalan ng mag-asawa. Which means to say that they are co-owners of the property. Okay, mga co-owners yan sila. When the title says spouses X and Y, there is a strong presumption na yung property na yan is a conjugal property or a property that is falling within the absolute community of properties ng mag-asawa. Okay? Kasi pinangalanan yung dalawang mag-asawa. Next, in cases of transactions involving the property kung saan nakalagay yung spouses X and Y, ano yung signature requirement natin dito? The signature requirement is that both named spouses should sign on the document. Okay? Kung deed of sale yung property, deed of sale yung instrument, tapos yung property na binibenta sa title may nakalagay as registered owner spouses X and Y, si X and Y should sign on the deed of sale. Okay? Paano naman sa married to? Paano naman yung sa married to? Sa married to, kailangan din ba yung signature ng other spouse? Kailangan ba? Anyone? From the comment section? Yes. Kailangan pa din. Kailangan pa din kasi when we are disposing of property that has a title that says X married to Y, okay, consent is still required. So, ibig sabihin, although yung principal seller is si registered owner, may tinatawag tayo dito, usually sa mga deed of sale, principal, seller, and then marital consent. With marital consent, din pangalan ng asawa. Paano kung wala yung signature ng asawa? Pwedeng i-contest ni wife yung property na yun. Especially kung nagpo-form siya, especially kung part siya ng absolute community of property nilang mag-asawa. Okay? Especially kung nagpo-fall siya doon. So, kailangan talaga na may signature din ng asawa. Pero hindi siya on the same level as spouses. Kasi sa spouses, the husband and the wife are both the principal seller of the property. Okay? Principal seller silang parehas. Therefore, their signature is of equal weight. Sa married to, yung registered owner lang ang principal seller. The wife is simply indicating her concurrence to the sale. Okay. Even if moving forward with the spouses, even if one spouse acquired it, including both names, makes it clear the property belongs to the marital relationship. Yung legal implication nito, it is safer in ensuring that both spouses are recognized as having rights and obligations over the property. Okay, may checkpoint tayo dito. I want the participation of everyone here. You can open your mic or you can just write your answer on the chat box. May mga set of questions na ako dito na gusto kong i-discuss natin lahat. First one, can a married person sell a property alone? Okay, gusto ko sanang makita yung mga participants natin, pero hindi ko kayo makita, unfortunately. Kasi naka-share, nag-ano ako ngayon. Okay, somebody said no. Who was that? Somebody said no. Okay, somebody said no. Can I get your opinion kung bakit no yung sagot mo? Can a married person sell a property alone? Bakit no? Okay. Sabi naman ni Ma'am Mylene Brito, sabi niya yes. Gusto kong ano yung ano ni Ma'am Mylene dito. Sabi niya yes if the property is an exclusive property. Ma'am Mylene, can I request for you to further explain your answer? Okay lang ba, Ma'am Mylene? Walang mic yung desktop niya. Okay. Sige, sabi ni Ma'am Mylene, yes, if the property is an exclusive property. Okay. In answering this question, you have to actually qualify it. Very important yung qualification sa question na to. Because the question begs for a different answer. Can a married person sell a property alone? If you are going to base it on that question alone, may dalawa kang possible answer dito, yes or no. So you have to qualify. Okay, again, lagi kong sinasabi kanina, we have to trace kung paano at kailan, how and when the property was acquired. Okay, how? Paano? Let's say, mana siya ni husband. Sa will ng nanay niya, sinabi doon na exclusive property niya lang yung property na yon. Can that person sell the property alone? Exclusive property, ano yung isang right ng isang sole owner? He can dispose of his property regardless of the time and location or the event that surrounds the circumstance of that sale. Diba? May right siya of disposition. So, in that case, exclusive property niya yun, so pwede niyang ibenta yun alone. Okay. Now, what if binili niya yung property na yun using his income, his salary? Then, no. In that case, the married person, regardless kung siya lang yung bumili nun, basta pinambili niya doon is income niya, which is supposed to form part of their conjugal property or absolute community of properties, then, hindi niya pwedeng ibenta yun nang siya lang. Okay? Always qualify this question. It would depend on the circumstance. So, tama therefore si Ma'am Mylene by saying na it was an exclusive property, then yes, that person can sell it alone. But, tama din yung sagot kanina, pero only insofar as hindi exclusive yung property. Okay, next question. Can a married person use a conjugal property and sign a loan agreement alone? Okay. Can a married person use a conjugal property, sign a loan document alone?
No.
Okay, may nagsabi ng no, sabi din dito sa chat, no. Isipin natin yung property. Conjugal property, probably na-acquire to prior to 1988, di ba? So part siya ng conjugal property, most likely after marriage na to nabili. So therefore, part siya ng conjugal property. Yung property na yon. Pwede bang mag-sign ng loan document si married person using that property? So the answer here is no. Okay? Kasi part nga siya ng conjugal property. Hindi ka pwede hindi, can a married person use a conjugal property and sign a loan documents alone? No. Hindi pwede. Okay? Next. Are properties bought before marriage considered conjugal or part of the community of properties? Ito. Are properties bought before marriage considered conjugal or part of the community of properties? So this is a two-pronged question. I-consider nyo yung conjugal and then community of properties. Short answer here. Okay. Anyone? Short answer here. Properties bought before marriage are not considered part of the conjugal properties. Kasi di ba yung conjugal partnership of gains, only those that are obtained after the marriage will form part of the conjugal properties. Pero dun naman sa community of properties, yes, because sa community of property, absolute community of properties, all properties purchased or obtained before and during the marriage or after the marriage, magpo-form part siya ng absolute community of property. So, the answer here is no to the conjugal and yes to the community of properties. Okay, pag-usapan naman natin yung legal implications of married to and spouses na nakalagay sa title. Ano yung legal implication niya in transactions? Okay, if only one of the spouses is on the title, ibig sabihin, X married to Y, spousal consent is still needed for sale or mortgage of the property. For sale or mortgage if the property is conjugal or community. Then, if both are registered or spouses, X and Y yung nakalagay, both signatures are required. Basically, I already discussed this earlier. Legal implication naman of spouses and married to, pag pinag-usapan natin yung estate settlement. If it says married to, okay, X married to Y, yung mga estate planners natin dyan should investigate kung exclusive ba yung property or conjugal. And then, when was it acquired? Heirs may need to share the share of the surviving spouse from the estate of the deceased. Okay, next. Ito na. Yung mga corrections naman and or the requirement for updatings in the title. So, dito tayo magkakaroon ng ano yung mga remedies natin. Pag halimbawa nakita mo na yung title ng property mo is nakasingle pa din instead of married na. So, yung husband mo bumili ng property pero single yung nakalagay doon at nakita mo yon as the wife. What is your remedy? Pwede mo yung ipa-correct at pwede mo yung ipa-update. So, wrong civil status, ano yung remedy mo? Single instead of married. You have two remedies here. Pwede kang kung clerical error lang to, pwede kang mag-file ng petition for correction under Section 108 of Presidential Decree number 1529 at ipa-file mo yun sa RTC na nag-a-act as a land registration court. Or, the second option mo is mag-file ng judicial reformation of instrument. Ipapa-reform mo yung instrument under Article 1359 of the Civil Code. So, hindi ko na ito i-discuss kasi gusto ko lang malaman nyo kung ano yung possible remedies nyo dito because it will take time kung isa-isayin pa natin yung process dito. So, those are your remedies pag mali yung civil status na nakikita nyo sa title. What if there is an omission of the spouse's name? Hindi nasama yung pangalan ni wife. So, ibig sabihin, si ano lang yung nakalagay, X, hindi din sinabi kung single or married. Tinanggal lang talaga yung pangalan ni As. Hindi sinabi kung single or married or nagsabi doon na married pero walang pangalan ng spouse. So, omission of spouse's name. Ano yung remedy mo? Your remedy is mag-file ka ng judicial reformation again under Section 108 of 1529 if the error originated from the deed na in-execute niyo. So, it is very important then therefore na yung deed of absolute sale ninyo nilalagay yung pangalan ng spouses ninyo. So, when you are identifying the parties in your deed of absolute sale, for example, yung buyer natin is si X. X is married to Y. So, dapat dun sa identifications of parties, sasabihin nyo si X, of legal age, Filipino citizen, married to Y, with residence and postal address at blah, 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 blah. Very important na if the buyer is married, i-identify yung pangalan ng spouse. Okay? So, therefore, kung yung mistake ng omission of spouse's name originates from the fact na yung DOAS or yung extrajudicial settlement is hindi siya napangalanan doon, yung recourse mo or yung remedy mo is Section 108 of PD 1529. Okay, magpa-file ka ng judicial reformation of instrument. Pwede ka din mag-file ng judicial declaration of conjugal or community property if the issue naman is about ownership. Okay, yun. And then, next is, paano naman kung incomplete yung pangalan or incorrect yung spelling. So this is a mere clerical error. So in this case, magpapile ka lang ng administrative correction sa Registry of Deeds under Section 108 of 1529, specifically for clerical errors to. So the best practices for brokers, buyers, and sellers, it is very important that you conduct a due diligence check first. And then you should not solely rely on the title itself. And if the seller is married, manghingi ka ng marriage certificate. Or, just to be sure, kung nakasingle siya dun sa title, manghingi ka ng SENUMAR. Okay? And then, manghingi ka din ng tax declarations. And of course, mag-execute kayo ng deeds. Never assume that you can sell the property alone, even if it is under your name. Your spouse may have share depending on the property regime. All right, so there ends my presentation for this afternoon. Thank you so much for listening. We can now proceed to the question and answer portion.
Thank you very
Kaya
much,
pa ba,
Attorney.
everyone? Okay. Thank you so much for listening. I hope hindi kayo na-overwhelm sa mga information nila. Sorry, towards the latter part, medyo minadali ko na because lampas na tayo sa 2-hour mark.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Well done.
Done. If you have any questions, everyone. May question dito si Ma'am Maylene. Halimbawa, yung mga heirs, patay na yung ibang kapatid. Pero yung ibang kapatid, hindi mahanap kasi nowhere to be found. Pwede pa din po ba ito magsangla or mabenta? Okay, so this one is a very interesting question. Halimbawa, yung mga heirs, patay na yung iba, patay na yung ibang kapatid, pero yung ibang kapatid hindi na mahanap kasi nowhere to be found. Pwede pa din po ba ito masangla or mabenta? Okay. To answer this, I will have to qualify. First, ilan yung mga heirs involved? Ilan ang namatay, ilan ang remaining, ilan ang nawawala? Kasi for example, if there were 3 heirs, isang namatay, isang nawawala, at isa ang interested party, kailangan natin ditong ma-identify kung itong si interested party, the other heir, nag-exert ba siya ng due diligence, enough diligence to actually search for the other heir? Kasi based on human experience, the court will actually consider human experience. Paano nawawala ang isang tao? Okay? Kung nawawala siya, gaano na siya katagal na nawawala? Also, you have to consider the circumstances that surrounds kung ano yung naging reason kung bakit siya nawala. Like, ano ba yung trabaho ng taong to? Sundalo ba to? Pumunta ba to ng Marawi during the Marawi siege? Tapos hindi na siya bumalik and then lumipas na yung 5 years, hindi pa din siya bumabalik. So there is that presumption of death. Okay? So in that case, pag 5 years na, and then ganun, na-meet niya yung circumstance na yun na that person is a soldier na nagpunta sa isang gera, the possibility of death is imminent, and then hindi na siya nakabalik, and then 5 years na siyang nawawala, definitely, pwede ka nang magpa-declare sa court na that person is actually already presumed dead. So ano yung implication yan? Pag presumed dead ng isang tao, basically, a dead person cannot own anything na. So you can already transfer the property to your name alone as the sole heir. So, by the way, bago tayo pala mapunta dyan, kailangan ko palang matanong din muna, na-settle ba yung property na to? Na-transfer ba yung pangalan sa kanila? Nag-extrajudicial settlement of estate ba sila? If yes, yung sagot ko kanina mag-a-apply yun. Pero if no, kailangan mong magantay nung 5 years. Okay, so sa parent pa po. So, ibig sabihin, hindi pa siya na extrajudicially settled. So, in that case, ipa-judicially declare mo muna yung other person as dead. But for that, kailangan mong i-prove yung possibility of death of that person. Okay? Next question. Still from Ma'am Maylene. Si X, widower sa title. Nagpakasal ulit. Pag sinangla niyo yung property, hindi po need ng consent ng bagong wife. Okay. Okay. Let's dissect that question. Okay, so X, widower, may dati siyang asawa, mayroon silang regime of property na nag-i-exist, and when the other spouse died, na-dissolve yun. Nagpakasal siya, ibig sabihin, nagkaroon ulit ng bagong regime of property. So sabihin natin yung regime of property nila is absolute community of property, so partnership. So ano yung requisite dito? Pag sinangla yung property, kakailanganin ba yung consent ng bagong wife? Yes, I believe so. I believe so. Unless kung sila ng prenuptial agreement, stating na yung mga properties nila na na-acquire nila prior to their marriage should be theirs alone, then doon lang hindi kakailanganin yung consent ng bagong wife. But otherwise, without it, yung presumption natin is absolute community of property, yung property regime. All right. Do we have any other question po? Thank you so much, Ma'am Maylene, for your active participation and very interesting questions. Yes. Okay, so the family code is actually very specific with that timeline. Okay? 5 years. It's actually specified in the family code. 5 years kasi 5 years is a reasonable time para sa isang taong nawawala. So, ito yung next question natin dito should be, what if napadeclare mo na as presumptively dead yung isang person? And then, after sabihin natin 8 years, napagkita siya. What will happen now? What will happen now? Tapos yung nangyari kasi, nung pinadeclare mo siya as presumptively dead, inano mo, binenta mo yung properties na pag-aari ninyong dalawa. Kailangan mo ba siyang bayaran? No. You don't have to pay that person. Because valid naman kasi yung ano mo, yung petition mo to declare him as presumptively dead. Nagpakita siya, for whatever reason, pwede lang ma-restore sa kanya yung rights niya as a living individual, pero yung lahat ng actions na ginawa mo during the time na na-declare na siya, after the time na na-declare na siya as presumptively dead, even if it includes disposition of the properties, nabenta na yung property, all of those were valid. Wala na siyang magagawa doon. Halimbawa, nagpakasal ka, what would that mean to that person? Mako-consider ka bang kung babae ka, mako-consider ka bang adulterer? Will that affect the validity of your marriage? Okay, so to answer that question, yes, Michelle. Okay. Okay, so pwede kang magpakasal actually. Pwede kang magpakasal, hindi ka mako-consider as adulterer kung magpakita siya 3 years after ng declaration ng presumptive death niya. Pero no. This was just hypothetical. Halimbawa, di ba 5 years? 5 years. Kasi hindi siya 5 years tapos nung 5th year nagpa-declare ka na this person is presumptively dead. Tapos 3 years after, so on the 8 years, nagpakita siya. Buhay siya. So, however, after mong ipa-declare sa court na this person is presumptively dead na, nagpakasal ka, dinispose mo yung property. What will happen dun sa marriage mo at saka sa disposition mo? May habol ba si husband mo na nagpakita after 8 years? Okay. To answer that question, medyo controversial to, pero the legal answer to that question is, hindi ka mako-considered as an adulterer. Kasi nagpakasal ka on the time na presumptively dead yung asawa mo. Pero yung marriage mo with the second husband will be void. Okay? Magiging void siya kasi buhay yung asawa mo. Okay? Ma-restore kasi lahat ng rights niya na nawala just because he was considered as dead person. So, paano kung nagkaanak kayo ng second husband mo? Okay? So, ano yung magmamatter dyan? This is getting complicated. Pero anyway, kung nagkaasawa kayo ng second husband mo, ang mangyayari dyan is, kung ano yung mga properties na nabili nyo during that second marriage, yun yung mag-a-apply sa mga anak ninyo. So, whatever was acquired during that second marriage is for the benefit of the children that was born during that marriage. Pero, again, yung kasal is still void. Okay, pwede po bang ma-check kung dineclare ka na ng asawa mo as presumptively dead? Saan korte po pwedeng i-check ka? Kasi ako 17 years nang hiwalay at walang communication, baka dineclare akong dead ng ex ko. Meron akong naiwang property sa kanya. Okay. Alright, so the thing here is pwede mong i-check. However, hindi mo alam kung saan court. Okay? That's your lookout. Saan kayang court nag-file ng presumptive death? Yung person na yan. And also, again, yung filing for the presumptive death, very specific yung requirements dyan. May specific works tayo at circumstance na kailangan ma-meet. Like, for example, tulad ng sinabi ko kanina, yung asawa mo is sundalo, nagpunta siya sa war, or yung asawa mo, seaman. Tapos, while naglalayag sila, naka-encounter sila ng malaking bagyo. So those kind of circumstance na yung death is very eminent, yun yung mga specific circumstance na kailangan ma-meet bago ka ma-declare as presumptively dead. Kung normal or regular employee ka lang naman ng isang company, tapos hindi na kayo nagkita ng 17 years, I don't think the court will have a reason to declare you presumptively dead. So no. Yes. Very specific yung requirements natin dyan sa family code. Okay, so sabi niya dito, bakit naman po hindi natin na-discuss yung sa rights naman ng common law spouse and children sa real property? Okay, so that is a very, very interesting question. Probably we can discuss this on our next magtanong kayo kay Attorney Sian. Ang question dyan, yes. Go ahead. Okay. Ang question natin dito bago ko sagutin yan is, were they validly and legally married? Okay. Sabi ni Ma'am Emma Yamson, RD will require senomore. So kung dineclare niyang married siya, single siya, and nag-submit siya ng senomore, then the RD should not annotate, should not write as his civil status the word single. Okay? Hindi po pwede yun. So anyway, halimbawa, hypothetically na-annotate, nandun na siya sa title, single siya. Nakalusot kay RD kasi hindi nila ginagawa yung trabaho nila. Ano yung recourse ng, for example, transfer credit for that? Yung recourse natin dyan is very simple. Mag-require tayo ng sinumore. Which is ginagawa naman natin sa transfer. Pero, paano naman kung hindi transfer? Paano kung buyer? So buyer should require senomore. Kasi yun yung proof na wala talaga siyang marriage with any other person. Okay. Okay, yan pong discussions natin about married or spouses. Applicable din po ba yan sa Filipino and foreign spouse? Yes, applicable to sa Filipino and foreign spouse. Remember, foreign, pero magiging unique yung circumstance because the other spouse is foreign. Remember, foreign cannot own a property here in the Philippines except for condominium units. Okay? So, in cases when the purchasing parties are married couple of different nationalities, only the Filipino will be the registered owner. Okay? And the foreign national will only be cited as the spouse. So it would always be X or Maria married to John. All right. So, any other questions?
So, excuse me po, attorney. Good afternoon. This is
Yes po.
Madeline.
Hello po.
In that case
Hi.
po, yes po, sir. Hindi ko alam paano ito.
Okay.
Okay, paano ba
I
ito?
can hear you
So,
po. I
in
can
that
hear you.
case, yes, sir. In that case, sir, papaano po kung let's say yung foreigner po nasa ibang bansa? Pero yung Filipina po, this is owned by the foreigner in the Filipina. And then the foreigner po nasa ibang bansa, the Filipina po nandito sa atin. So, pero naghiwalay na po sila. Kailangan pa po ba, sir, na i-interviewin yung interviewin yung foreigner sa ibang bansa, tawagan para po ma-confirm na sila nga po ay divorce or hiwalay na talaga sila? Kailangan pa po ba 'yon?
Actually, no. Because kung nag-divorce po sila validly, the wife should receive or should have a copy of the order granting their divorce.
Okay.
So, yun na yung proof ni wife na nag-divorce na nga sila ng foreign spouse niya.
Ano po ang kailangan ulit, sir?
Kailangan niya lang ng proof of
Ano po ulit?
yung decision ng court granting the divorce.
Court decision po. Yes po, court decision.
Yeah. Yun po yung
Okay,
biggest proof
sir.
niya kasi to prove na na-grant nga yung divorce niya with that person dun sa country nung foreign individual. And the question is, since Filipino siya and walang divorce dito sa Pilipinas, binding ba yun kay wife? Yes, still binding. Because kung hindi yan magiging binding, magkakaroon tayo ng absurd situation where the wife would remain married to the foreign spouse na to that person hindi na siya married. So, nire-recognize natin dito sa Pilipinas ang foreign decrees ng divorce.
Noted po. So, papaano po, attorney? Okay po, attorney. Papaano po, attorney, kung this is a Filipino, pare-pareho po sila, yung mag-asawa, parehong Filipino, pero naghiwalay na po sila. And then po, yun pong husband or wife, nagbigay na po ng waiver na i-waive niya yung right dun sa lalaki or sa babae, naka-annotated na po sa title, ano po mangyayari? Meron pa po bang, may possibility po ba na ma-loan ito?
Question ko po, ma'am, are they divorced somewhere?
Actually, no, sir. Pero po, naka-annotate na po yung waiver of right nung guy sa titulo.
But they remain Filipino po?
Yes po.
Okay. So in that case, ma'am, yung waiver nung guy would actually, and since it was annotated, would actually apply. Valid po yun.
Fake po? Valid.
Sorry?
Thank you very much.
Oh, valid.
Thank you po. Ano po, sir? Invalid?
Valid. Pwede yun, pwede.
Valid. Thank you very
Hold
much
on,
po,
hold
sir.
on.
Opo.
I have to qualify that pala because there is there is a law in the Philippines that we cannot donate to each other as spouses. Sorry, so I would have to qualify. So yung waiver niya would constitute as donation to the other spouse. I had to change my answer. That the waiver would be invalid pala. Sorry. Naalala ko lang yung prohibition against donation sa mga spouses. Yung inaalaw lang dyan is mga jewelries or yung mga gifts on special occasions. Yun lang yung pwedeng i-donate mo sa spouse mo. So in that case, since hindi naman hiwalay, yes po. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, attorney. Paano po ang mangyayari, attorney, na i-waive na po nung guy yung kanyang ownership dun sa properties that is annotated na po, that was annotated na po sa titulo. So, paano pa po ang dapat gawin para po ma-loan itself yung property, ma-loan ng babae? Paano po ang dapat, anong remedy po dapat gawin?
Okay, so in that case, Okay. Although hindi direct kasi yung donation na nangyayari natin dito, na nagaganap dito, yung the fact of waiver in favor of another person this is the same dun sa ano di ba? When we are having an extrajudicial settlement of estate with waiver of rights, yung mga nagwi-waive ng rights, tinatax sila ng donor's tax. It's actually the same. In this case, the husband, nag-waive siya ng right niya to the property. So therefore, actually, I'm actually wondering kung bakit na-allow yung annotation nun because it is considered as donation and such donation is not allowed under the civil code.
In that case po, attorney, since na hindi po nagkakasundo ang mag-asawa, may problema po yung dalawa, kaya bumitaw po si lalaki. I-donate niya po yung property. So ano po ang dapat gawin, attorney, para mapakinabangan ng babae? Ano po ang best remedy po doon?
Well, I would okay, yung nandito po ba sa Pilipinas yung asawa?
Yes po, sir. Yes po, attorney. Nandito po sila pareho.
Okay, so since nandito sila, why not liquidate the property by themselves? I-liquidate nila yung property na yan. And then, or i-ano nila, parehas, paano ba yan? Isangla nila parehas. I-liquidate nila.
So, kailangan po, attorney, kahit na po Opo, attorney, paano po yun? So, kailangan po ba na since nag-waive na po si lalaki, kailangan po silang dalawa pa rin ang pipirma sa loan?
Invalid po yung waiver ni husband. Because that waiver constitutes donation. And donation is not allowed if donation is not allowed if the donation is being made to the other spouse. Again, yung specific dyan is allowed lang ang donation if the things that are being donated to the other spouse are jewelries and small gifts. And pag nagdo-donate ka by virtue of special occasions like anniversaries, very specific ang civil code natin dyan. So in those cases, in this case rather, the waiver of rights by the husband will constitute donation. Dinodonate niya basically kasi nag-waiver siya in favor of the wife, if I am not mistaken. So that is not allowed under the civil code. So dapat hindi yun na
Bakit po?
Yes.
Opo, attorney, bakit po in-annotate ng RD? Yun po ang tanong. Bakit sila nag-annotate na hindi pala pwede?
Exactly. So that is also my question. It should not have been annotated. Pero kasi there are many circumstances where RD has committed the same mistakes in the past. And I think that has something to do with human errors then.
At the same time po, attorney, meron pong mga properties na isinanla nila sa land bank pero in-honor po ng land bank.
Sino po yung
ang nag-loan lang po, attorney. Ang nag-loan po mismo yung pong registered owner, yung babae. In-honor po ng land bank.
Again, my stand on that po is the donation or the renunciation of. Okay, so you mentioned that the woman is the wife is the registered owner. Tama? So,
yes po, attorney. Silang dalawa po.
Sa kanya yung property. Paano po ba yung
yes po, silang
identification niya dun sa title?
Ano po, married to.
Okay, so ibig sabihin as discussed earlier, married to yung property, yung title, married to Y. Si X
yes
lang yung registered owner doesn't necessarily mean na si Y is the registered owner. So since that is the case, okay. I have a theory kung bakit tinanggap siya ng bank. It's because there is a presumption of regularity when that title, when that identification of the wife was identified as was included in the title as the as the civil status ng wife, di ba? So,
Okay,
ex-married to
opo.
wife. So, may presumption of regularity,
So,
siya yung registered owner. So, pwede siyang pwede siyang um, pwede niyang ibenta yung property na yun or isangla. Pero again,
now I understand. So, opo.
i-complete ko lang yung sagot ko. Going back to the waiver of
Opo.
rights ni husband, I will emphasize this. Na legally speaking, that waiver of right is not valid for the reason that it constitutes donation, and donation between spouses is not allowed in our jurisdiction, except kung yung dinodonate mo is jewelries and other small gifts on reasons of special occasions. Very specifically provided po yan sa batas po natin, Civil Code.
In that case po, hindi po okay po ba? I-continue po. Thank you po, attorney. But then, meron pa po akong tanong. Sorry po. In that case po, attorney, gusto ko lang po malinawan. Correct me if I'm wrong. Since po na si X married to Y, so ang nangangahulugan po ay si X lang talaga ang talagang owner. Tama po? So, ibig sabihin po, sir,
Not
attorney,
absolutely.
ano po ang dapat ano po na po ang dapat gawin dun sa sa waiver niya? Pwede po bang ipatanggal na lang namin yung i-delete na lang po ng Registry of Deeds yung waiver?
Ipapakancel niyo yung waiver.
Ay, thank you. So, pwede na pong
Sorry, that was not my official advice. I was actually asking kung yun yung gusto niyo gawin, ipapakancel niyo yung waiver.
Opo. Tama po. Para po ma-loan po. Actually, nandyan na po sa office yung dokumento eh. So, gusto ko pong mangyari sana, attorney, kung po pwede po yan, ipatanggal ko po yung waiver, ipadelete ko po sa RD, and then para matuloy po yung loan nitong may-ari.
Okay. Okay, so to answer that question, I would like to qualify. Tingin niyo po ba,
Thank you.
tanggal niyo po yung pag pinatanggal niyo po yung waiver na yun, will there be a change on the fact na the other spouse would still have the right over the property? Diba,
Wala na
hindi po mababago yung fact na yun. As I discussed earlier, dun sa discussion natin sa X married to Y portion, sinabi natin na although si X lang ang registered owner doon, yung legal implication is it doesn't necessarily mean na mawawalan ng rights si other spouse to the property. We have to consider when and how the property was actually acquired. So that was what I discussed earlier. So may in applying that to your circumstance, you mentioned na si husband, mayroon siyang waiver of rights which was invalid, and it was invalidly annotated on the title. So my question is, pag tinanggal niyo po ba yung annotation na yun, will it affect the right of the husband to actually claim for that property? Hindi po yun makaka-apekto. And for this, ma'am, if you would like, I think it would be best for you us to actually discuss this at the office. You're welcome.
Ang pinagtataka, thank you so much, attorney. Ang pinagtataka ko po, bakit tinanggap ng NALA, samantala pong same documents po ang isinabmit doon. So, bakit po tinanggap ng NALA? Gusto ko pong ilikunin natin eh. Kaya po ganun ang ginawa ko. So, sige.
Theory ko dyan po, ma'am. My theory there is, again, yung mga government agencies and private institutions, hindi na talaga sila nagkakandak ng verification of those documents. So, yun. And not everybody is actually knowledgeable about the provisions of the law. I'm not saying that I am an expert, pero based on what I know, in terms of the donation, in terms of the waiver part, that waiver constitutes donation po kasi. So, but invalid po yun. Okay?
Thank you so much po, attorney. Punta na lang po ako sa office to discuss these matters po.
Let's discuss.
Nice talking to you po, attorney.
Okay po.
Thank you po. Salamat po.
Okay. Okay, Ma'am Maylene, may tanong siya dito. Parents are registered owners in all their properties and they have children. Parents sold one of the properties to a son. The son was able to transfer the title to his name. The father died. The other children are claiming that the sale of their sibling is not valid and they claim it as inheritance. Invalid po ba yung sale transaction kasi napatatakan na yung title ng claims eh? Okay. First of all, heirs cannot claim their inheritance in advance. So kung nangyayari yung sale na yan, this is under the presumption na everything was done validly, legally, and hindi simulated yung sale. Okay. Under those pretexts, valid yung sale. Because as the owner of the property, the parents can actually dispose of the property to whoever person they want to sell it to. Granted na for value yun. And whenever they want to. Part yun ng right nila as the property owners. And while buhay sila, all properties that they own, they are the absolute owner. The heirs should not have any claim in advance dun sa mga properties na supposedly, according to them, mamanahin nila. Because it could also be na wala silang mamanahin at all. So, going back to the question, nung namatay yung tatay, other children are claiming that the sale of their sibling, that the sale to their sibling is not valid. Wrong po yung presumption nilang yon. Mali po yung presumption nila, if the sale was validly made. So, ganun lang po yun. If they are the co-owners of the property. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right, so do we have any more questions bago tayo mag-end for our discussion today? Feel free to ask the question po. Okay, so already 5:35. I think wala na. Wala na po ba? Final answer? Common law spouse, these are spouses na nabibigyan ng law ng same consideration as spouses, as legally wedded spouses by virtue of the by reason of the fact that they have been cohabitating for at least 5 continuous years. So ito yung mga nagli-live-in basically for at least 5 years, living the life of spouses na talaga, pero wala lang silang marriage. Yes. Pero 5 years yung minimum period. Continuous, not hindi yung putol-putol na 5 years. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope you learned something this afternoon.
Thank you very much, attorney. Thank you very much.